Check, mic check, we recording. Damn, this shit look official right here, boy. This is official right here.
I like this, cuz.
Looking like real podcast type energy.
I like this.
Yeah, man, we stepping it up now. We're gonna turn this thing into a podcast soon.
Guess we let some people get in for it.
Yeah, man. Like they say we're supposed to engage. Very, very excited for this episode, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Let y'all start coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Kim is here.
Yo!
Wave to the people. Oh, man.
All right.
Make sure you get in the camera, man. People gotta see you, cuz. There we go.
Well, we got some legs, you know what I mean? I got a little leg on me and stuff, so you know I'm trying to get up
now. We're gonna talk all about it. We're gonna talk about, yo, Ab, what's good, Ab? What's up, Ab?
Little E, B, what up, cuz?
Yo, put Ab in real quick. She ain't even gonna say nothing to it. That's crazy, man.
Oh, man.
Sis here. Nah, this is clean.
All right. So,
I think I might not. See, now I set the standard. I gotta make all my IG lives like this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just got this today. Shout out to Walgreens.
All right, we got people coming in.
Wendy, what's up, Wendy?
How you doing?
I miss Wendy, man. Wendy was one of my favorites over there.
Oh, man.
We got a lot to talk about today, Dre. It's a lot of history.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the first person I had on the podcast that known me for every day of my life. It's all 29 years.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much.
29 years young.
Pretty much.
Oh, the
Yo.
Booski done came, man.
All right. Got Mel.
Melanator.
What's good? What's going on?
See the production, Mel? Coming different today. Yes.
My head's like, man, that's small. So the mirror. I'm in
It's all right. They got you on camera, though. They
Right.
see you good.
All right.
They see you good. I'm waiting for a couple more people to come in, but we're going to get started. But just to give an overview, we're going to be talking about a lot today. Dre's the big reason why I got into fitness to begin with. And I just took the baton that he gave me and I just ran with it. So we're going to talk about how we started off together. We're going to talk about where we are today with training. We're going to talk about his recent injury, his road to recovery from that, what he learned from the experience. So it's going to be a long one, guys. It's going to be a good one now.
Definitely excited. This is like kind of been a long time coming, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
You know, I mean, we've had
And we got you in front of the fucking camera, man.
Yeah.
Fucking time, man. The damn story to tell and you ain't telling nobody yet, so.
Nah.
And honestly, this is one that I wanted to do for a while, but I was just kind of getting into the groove with the lives and stuff like that, so I said I'll come back and do a couple of them, and then I was like, you know what, Dre? It's about that time, man. Let's sit down and let's have this conversation.
True. Honestly, I'm definitely honored to be, like, I guess, one of the first ones on you, like, and to do in person. You know
this is the first in-person IG live.
Yeah, so this is
And
definitely...
I like it already.
This is definitely awesome.
Feels like something right here.
I mean, it'd be cool. It's like, you know, we do this one now and then maybe like a couple months down the road, see where I'm at then, and it's like get back on, you know what I mean?
We'll have a podcast going.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Podcast going by there for sure.
All
right, well, you know, people gonna keep joining in. Jamie was good. And for y'all just coming in, make sure you go check that last one that I had with Jamie. That is on my YouTube right now. We will definitely have this one on YouTube right after we're done with this. So make sure you stay tuned in. So even if you don't catch the full conversation, you will on that YouTube. You'll have it full access to it. Make sure you catch every bit of gym that's coming down in this. What's good, Alex? It's looking like a real podcast over here today, man. Looking like a real podcast. I said, man, we coming different today.
Oh, yeah.
Getting the lighting together, making sure my skin is glowing. Got my fro out. I ain't even put the curls in today, man. I almost came with a pick in my head. That's how relaxed I am today.
Got the merch on deck, too?
Yeah, man. Know that these merch is here. Branding is here. It's official.
Oh, yeah.
But, Dre, all right, man. Let's get to it. So, Dre started fitness before me, and it started. Well, tell me how you started. Let's tell them. Tell them how you started your fitness journey.
Well, first I'm saying Andre Maurice, aka Dormant Beast.
That was my fault.
No, that's cool. No, that's cool.
Yeah,
like
my
I said,
cousin, I just forget we at home and
like
all that. But this is my cousin Andre.
Yeah.
All right, this is the Dormant Beast. I'm Building Beast, and we are here.
Nah, but I started my fitness journey. Well, to be honest with you, like I'm not gonna lie, I was a game head, really into video games.
Both of us.
Both of us. Wasn't really like athletic or into like, you know, I guess like outside activities, anything like that. It wasn't until I would say maybe middle school, we walked into a gym, and like, you know, at a gym they have like PE where they have like, you do like the weight room class and you do like basketball and stuff like that. And I went in there and I was kind of pretty much like automatically hooked. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys were in there, they weren't really that big into it. They were doing a little bit of curls. Like I did one curl and I was like, you know, this feels freaking awesome. And plus, like at the time, it was like I was having like a little bit of, I guess you could say like confidence issues, like with myself and like my body and stuff like that. So it was like, you know, I just picked up a barbell, picked up a easy curl bar. That's what I actually started with. Got a easy curl from Sports Authority. My mom bought it for me. Just a regular, them old school cast iron plates. And I remember just like going in my room and just doing like maybe like 100 curls a night. You know what I mean? And then that's pretty much how it started. And then funny story is like I got him into it too, but we actually got this he's going to laugh.
Holy shit, yo, I forgot.
he gonna laugh. So like
shit,
I had the easy curl bar. We didn't get like a bench or nothing. I got a bench later on, but we got an easy curl bar. And then we had got this like band thing.
No, you had got.
I bought it. It was like this band. It was like this band thing that, you know, you attach to the door, and it was like you could do curls and do squats. And then he got into it, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you feel the burn." And we did it like one workout, and then we just kind of looked at it. And I think,
all right. Like,
did you cut it, right?
The story up here. Yeah, I cut that shit. All right. So Dre was really getting into fitness, so. He brought together, I think this was some band. I don't know, man. It was, and I use bands today, but these bands was ass, like really bad.
Pretty bad.
And I don't know shit about shit at this time, you know.
Neither one of us.
You knew more than me,
yeah.
But you came home, you would have thought he found an Arnold encyclopedia when he came home with that joint. It's like these 3 bands with different colors, had the little loops or whatever. He's doing bicep curls. I was like, man, T, you feel that? You feel that, T? I was like, I don't feel shit, man. This shit is terrible. So then I took some scissors and then I cut the bands off. Yeah. So then we cut that story short. This shit lasted probably like 2 days, dude.
Pretty much, but nah, later on.
What's good, D?
Later on, got into high school, and then my mom actually ended up buying me my first actual weight set. It was a 300-pound weight set. With a bench, adjustable bench, you could incline, you could flat, and honestly, that's how it all started. I did play high school football, but to be honest with you, I kind of started at a time where it's like with football, I feel like unless you're kind of like genetically gifted or it's like you're just an athlete or whatever it is, that's something you kind of got to start in like your earlier years, and I think I started a little bit too late. Yeah. But I remember just like going, like we had football. The weight room part and the weights was the most exciting thing for me. I did just the training overall, the lifting the weights, the sprinting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that. But that's pretty much how I started. I mean, outside of that, I'm not gonna lie, it was because of like girls. You know what I mean? It was because of girls. A girl, I felt like me building myself up would make me maybe more like, you know, maybe more attractive in her eyes and whatnot. But that's a different story.
Like most bros think when they start lifting, you just realize what to do that and how much you can chest press.
Pretty much. That's what started. Like, yo, Drew, you got mad big, yo. It's like damn. I had a couple people look, but it was just like, you know.
Yeah. They didn't care about all that.
But
no, but it, and honestly, like I miss that. I don't want to say I miss it, but that energy of just when you don't know much and you're just trying to figure it out with training and you're like reading, you're just learning a lot of shit in real time because we didn't have a bunch of equipment. We didn't know what a deadlift bar was. We didn't use chalk. Yeah. We didn't know programming. We just knew what muscles felt like when you used them.
Absolutely.
And we just kept trying to get that feeling. and we just kept eating, and we kept doing it over and over, and then we were seeing change.
And not only that, not to cut you off, not only that, we really didn't have anybody in our family that really came from that type of background. So it really was like just me and him. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, I did start it. He actually was like the athletic one. You know what I mean? Outside playing with the boys, street football. And I remember just
legend.
Legend. Yeah, street legend, you know, with Bugs and all them cats, and Terrence and Josh and all them. But like, I remember like kind of telling him, I said, yo, dude, like if you do this, man, it was like, you know, I think you can be really, you know, really, really, really good at it. Like, you know, like he would do it once in a while and then like stop, but he would like go through like almost like periods to where it's like he would go hard for maybe 2 months, stop.
Three
months.
Three on a good week.
3 on a good week.
On a good year.
3 on a good week, and then come back and still either be as strong or get strong. So I'm looking, I was like, what the hell is going on? Now I'm sitting here like, yo, I'm in there bleeding, going crazy, you know what I mean? Not crazy because like we always started out with like, you know, being mindful of technique and being mindful of like what we're doing. It wasn't just like a bunch of smash, because to be honest with you, if we did that, we probably wouldn't still be lifting right now. You know what I mean? But yeah, pretty much like I pretty much got him into it, and he's where he's at right now. You know what I mean? He pretty much took off and he built the platform, and like to be honest with you, it's really inspiring because like I saw him start, you know, in like, you know, Apollon with like one client to what he has right now, and it's just like all the days we were like when we started in the garage, you know what I mean? Just putting that all, you know, into what he's doing right now. So it's really, really awesome to see. And it's like, you know, it's really, really cool. Gets to be a part of like, you know, be a part of what he's doing.
It's good. It's good that people understand that story of it though.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like they'll see where you are today.
Yeah.
And not really understand how you got to this point. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much little details and so many little inspirations and so many learning experiences. Like I can go on and on about the shit that I've been through to get me to the point that we are today. And just me and Dre's story alone, we could talk for hours, to be honest. Yeah. You know, the interesting part about your fitness journey, one, you started when you were young.
Yes.
You started overweight. I don't think a lot of people know that part.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah. So what it was actually before I even got my own weight set. So I was like, I think I might have been like 180, and I think I might have been like 5'5" or 5'6", maybe.
Because like, 180 for you on that frame was heavy at the time. Yeah,
so it's like what I actually did. I actually did like, you know, a lot of people actually do like sometimes they do like one extreme and they don't balance it out. But I basically did like cardio, and I went from 180 to about 165 when I got into high school. But it was like I wasn't really weight training like that, but I just did mainly just cardio. It wasn't until I got like mainly into high school more to where I actually like, you know, I guess you could say got in a program, even though I really didn't know the basis of it. It just was like, hey, you just got a squat day, you got a bench day, you got a deadlift day. But yeah, I did start off overweight. To be honest with you, my diet was actually pretty trash. It was a lot of like...
I honestly don't even remember how you lost weight. You know the part that I do remember though? Like I wasn't even like paying attention that much. I just remember like your mom was getting nervous and she was like Dre's losing so much weight, I think he's sick. Like I think something's wrong with him. Like he was literally just like exercising and like trying to actively lose weight. They took you to the doctor and everything.
Yeah, she was like, to be honest with you, the doctor was like, I still was too heavy. I was like, wait a minute. I was like 165. I was like, well, you should be like one. Like what? Come on, man, 150.
Yeah, they was trying to make you a little featherweight.
But but pretty much like that's how it all started. When I got out of high school, I actually ramped up even more. That's when I kind of got like, well, in high school, you know, you got the Flex magazines and the muscle building, the muscle and fitness magazines, and I still have this one magazine till today. I got rid of all the other ones, but it was Andy Bolton. He was the first person to deadlift 1,000 pounds, and that's kind of like when I actually found out about powerlifting, and I automatically was hooked because like I remember being in high school, and I'm gonna say I only had maybe 2 years of training in, and my senior year we had this thing called Iron Warrior, Franklin Iron Warrior. It was like it was a weightlifting competition, and I actually won. I was 172 pounds, and
you won the pound for pound, right?
I won the pound for pound, and there was a guy I beat. He was one of O-line in 315. I benched 275. He benched 315. I deadlifted 475. He deadlifted 475. I power cleaned 205. I think he power cleaned 225.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I knew right then and there, it's like, okay, I have some type of like strength in me that I like, you know, I was like, it just kind of came to me natural. You know what I mean? But outside of when I went out of high school, you know, we were in the garage, still training together. First gym I actually joined was Workout World. Over in North Brunswick.
And now that is Jersey Strong today,
now
for the people who don't know.
Yeah, now that's Jersey Strong. I was in there by myself, but then eventually he got old enough to where he could actually come to the gym. Got him a membership. That's where it basically started, where we both basically were training partners all the time, going into the gym all the time. You know what I mean? And it's like, even with him, like, I watched him at, I think you were, what were you, 125, 135, and you pulled 400 that one time, or 355 in Workout World? Because I know you had the do-rag and the gloves.
Yeah.
That's when you was wearing gloves.
That's when I was wearing gloves, but I stopped wearing gloves because I was having grip issues.
Yeah.
You know, like we always think, honestly, gloves help the calluses a little bit, but not really that much, to be honest. But I was getting pissed off because, like, I knew I had more strength to push off the ground, but I couldn't have any grip. But I probably was like 135, 140 when I pulled that 355.
Yes.
That was my attire. White. When I came in a white tank top and a do-rag, I came for smoke.
Yeah, it was back.
That was my attire.
yeah. Back then, it's like lifting wasn't what it was now. Like Instagram, I don't even think was out. I think it was just kind of MySpace. I think Facebook, but it was like,
it was Facebook. I think I still had the video. It was just like OD blurry today.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like I was.
And my neck was terrible. I was like staring up the whole time, pulling. But
Still had a flat back. It's just like, you know, bracing, positioning the neck was off. But it's like, you know, when I saw him do that, I was like, okay, this dude has the potential. We both had the potential to be something really big.
Yeah.
But we pretty much outgrew that gym. The next gym we went to was what was it? World's Gym at Denellen. And that's where it turned up even more, because that gym was just basically like, you know, just like,
that was a
like
hardcore raw gym.
Yeah, like, you know, hoodies and boots, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the
birds flying inside.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
shit. The bathroom was never fixed. Like, that was my shit though.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like, bathrooms don't fix. It's like, you know, just real, you know, jailhouse kind of stuff. But it's like, even with that, you know, just our numbers increased, and it's just like we just like continue just going hard and hard. But like a lot of these gyms that we went into, we really didn't bump into like the crowd that we wanted to, like the powerlifters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up going to Apollon Gym, and I saw that, fell in love with that. Then we started seeing more and more of like kind of the type of lifters that we wanted to be around and stuff like that. Of course, he came with me, and that's where we spent from, I'm gonna say, from 2010 to almost like 2015, 16.
We're at Apollon?
Apollon?
I was there longer than you.
He was there longer, but like I would say, like us trained together, we trained together. It was actually me, him, and my boy Drew. And that's like, that was the crew. That's where we just walked in there. That was the original crew. Mm-hmm. We just walk in there on Saturdays, squatting, just like, you know, get in there and just going hard, you know.
I'm happy those Saturdays is over though, dog.
Oh yeah.
Bro, we used to get in there like 3, 4, and then leave at like 7:30 on a Saturday.
Yeah, he was the first one to check out. You know what I mean? He was like, yo, dude, like I love y'all, but it's like, yo, I can't do this shit. But yeah, that's pretty much
That's the short version of
That's the short version.
That's the short version of everything. But I think it's dope with how much that you've actually been through, because like I said, you went from overweight, then you went to really stocky, then you had like a lean period, you tackled into bodybuilding, you tackled into powerlifting, which you're still pretty much actively in now. Yeah. But let's talk about a few years back. So we're just gonna fast forward. That's a little backstory. Let's fast forward to Delaware. All right, Delaware. Delaware happens. You're living there for a little while. Life transition, doing your thing over there, and you went in one night. Yeah. For a squat session that was not on your plan.
Right. Well, to go back to Delaware, it's like, well, maybe to go back from a little bit back to the beginning. Okay. It's like, when I first started training with weights, it's like I used it as almost like a way to release like anger, depression, you know, just just something to just help me like get through like I guess like the day. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
like I said, like you know, us growing up, we dealt with certain things, and like I dealt with certain things, and I didn't really have an outlet to really like let that out. So it's like weightlifting for me was something that really like not only it saved me like physically with helping me like stay strong and lose weight, but I feel like mentally it helped save me, because it's like, to be honest with you, without it, I'm not sure if I would be here right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To be 100% honest with you, like it saved my life. But pretty much like going back in 2008, this actually ties into deadlifts. I'm going back. In 2008, 2007, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
Oh wow, it's been that long.
Yeah. So 2007, and Crohn's disease is it's an autoimmune disease. It's pretty much like inflammation of like the I believe like the intestines and whatnot. So to not to be too graphic, it's like when you have flare-ups, sometimes you pass blood in your stool, you feel fatigued, and I actually found out like maybe like 2 years ago that it causes joint pain. All right, and this is the part I guess we kind of skipped over, so like a little bit. So like when we were training, I started training in 2007 to about, the injury happened in 2000, I forgot, 12, 28, 18. So it happened in 2018. From 2007 to 2018, I had knee pain every single time I stepped into the gym. And first it started off, like I remember squatting and training deadlifts, no knee sleeves like everybody else. Then it was like a couple times I would go in there and it's like my knees would just like be killing me. Now mind you, it's like we're very mindful of form. We went hard, but it was nothing stupid. We were just banging out. But I always had this knee pain where my knees would be stiff, and sometimes it would be okay, sometimes it wouldn't. So with squatting, I used to have to wear knee sleeves. Now I'm talking about, I had pain from the beginning. I'm talking about bodyweight squat. Yeah. But I would push through it because I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. It'll go away. And eventually, as I got warmed up, it kind of went away. Well, that same knee pain started going into deadlifting. So then I had to start wearing knee sleeves when I deadlift. So I'm sitting here like, I don't really know what's going on. What is it? But I'm like, you know what? Maybe genetically, I'm just not blessed with like strong tendon, whatever it is. I'm like, this is just going to be a part of how I train and whatnot. So fast forward to, like you said, in Delaware, I went into overnight session. I'm going to say, well, it was around like 11:30. And like I said, numbers are feeling actually good. I actually did my first full powerlifting meet in 2016. That's with the knee pain, full power, squatted, bench, and deadlift. And from 2016 to 18, I was like building everything up. So I'm like, you know what? My numbers are good. I think I had just deadlifted 585 a couple of days ago. Bench was going good, and there was this competition that was going to be in Texas. And I was like, you know what? Me and my girlfriend at the time, we were big into YouTube. So it's like, hey, you know what? Let's like document this. Let's go fly out there, travel out there. Let's go do this and whatnot. So I go into that squat session. I'm like, you know what? Let me just see where I'm at, get a good baseline, and then after that, I'll pretty much just like program and get ready for competition. 135 felt good. Now mind you, I still got pain in my knees from the beginning. Yeah. So I'm pretty much training where it's like I feel this, but I'm like, it is what it is. 135 good, 225 good. And at that time, I couldn't do a lot of reps. So I would do maybe 2-3 reps to warm up, and that was it. 315 good, 365 good. Went to 405, but something in my mind was telling me like, yo, 365 is good, leave it alone, we all right. I was like, nah, you know what, nah, I guess it's kind of like the ego taking over. It's like, nah, I got to do this. Put it on. Now, mind you, my body, my intuition, my gut was telling me not to do it. Go down with the weight, and then poof, both my patella tendons just snapped. So literally, it's almost like, I can't really describe it. It's like, imagine like breaking a bat over your leg, over like your leg, and just like a tree branch is breaking. But basically, they just both snap. My left knee, my leg got caught behind me. So pretty much like with my left knee actually received the worst, and it was like when they ended up getting surgery, they said like it kind of chipped off a piece of bone or something like that. So my left knee has like a little bit more of like, I guess like reinforcement or whatever they did, the screws or whatever. My right knee tore the patella tendon, but that's pretty much, that happened to me in 2018. And that was really, really hard because like T said, me and my girlfriend at the time just moved down there. And basically it went from starting a new life, and it was hard trying to figure out like job situations to where it's like now I can't work. So literally it's like I'm on my back in the gym thinking about I just made a situation that was already hard even worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, but that pretty much happened to me. I still remember to that day, like what happened. The guys came in there and they picked me up. And at first they were like, hey, we're going to need you to, we got to stand up. I said, dude, I can't, my knees, I can't get up. Now, mind you, I went overnight. So it's like, I pretty much was actually laying on the floor for about maybe 1 to 2 minutes before another guy came in there and helped straighten my legs out. But I just remember getting on the ambulance. They brought me into the ER room, the ER, part of the hospital. And they were picking me up and my kneecaps were sinking down inward.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, because they were basically trying to pick. They were basically like they didn't pick me up the right way. My patella snapped. So it's like instead of picking like the ankle and in the middle of the knee, they just picked me up on my ankle. So both my kneecaps are sinking inward, downward, and I'm like rushing. I'm like, oh, what the, you know what I mean? And they didn't have a wheelchair. I don't know if it's Delaware, whatever. But yeah, that pretty much happened to me, and it was definitely hard. It took, I'm going to say it happened in December. I was up and walking maybe like end of February, March.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would say around that time.
Well, rewind it a little bit.
Okay,
put yourself in the brain frame of
when I got hurt?
Yeah. Well, that whole, now you're in the hospital, what are the doctors telling you? Where's your brain going? Like, what's the mental space that you're in during all of that?
To be completely honest with you, the doctors say, yeah, you're probably never going to squat a deadlift again. And that was really hard because it was like, I always felt like I had the potential or had the potential to be really, really good in the sport that I do. And to hear that and to see, like, to have, like, basically something that's been a part of my life since I was 17 and changed my life and helped me, to have it just kind of almost like, yeah, you're never going to do this again. That was really, really, really hard. You know what I mean? Really hard. And it really put me in a deep, like, depression because, like, not only is that going on, now it's like we're struggling living down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
so
real life is happening in real time.
Yeah, so real life is like happening. It's not just like, oh yeah, you blew your knees out. It's like, okay, you blew your knees out, now you can't work. Sorry. Now you can't work. Now it's like, okay, what's gonna happen now? So it's like I have all these things that I kinda had to take on where it's like I gotta get healthy, and I gotta make sure I take care of my responsibilities as a man and whatnot. So it's like, it just really kind of really messed with me. It was really, really hard. I think the fact that when I had my family, Bill and Beast, my cousin, Terrence, my mom, who basically came down there when she came down that night. Yeah. Came down 3 nights straight, back to back to back, and came down there. And
you was a minute away too.
Yeah, it was like I was
2.5 hours.
Yeah, I was 2 hours. I was 2 hours away, so it wasn't a hop, skip, and a jump. It was we lived in Dover, so that's like in the middle of Delaware. But like I said, my family, my best friend Doug, he came down there, and like to be honest with you, he's a real big part. One of the big, he's pretty much been guiding me and helping me, and always been in my corner outside of like my cousin. He's always been there and always been like helping me like stay motivated, stay hungry, and just be like, you know what, you're gonna come back from this. It's just just take your time, be patient, but I believe you can come back from this. So he's been a real big part of that. But yeah, my mind frame was not really that good when I was down there, and plus it was like at the time while I was rehabbing that, my relationship was going not good. So it's like that was another thing. So like he said, it was bigger than just like, okay, I fell. It was like real life was happening to me at the same time. It's like you're struggling. Your relationship is basically, my relationship ended in Delaware, you know what I mean? And basically ended up moving back to New Jersey, which, like I said, now looking back on everything that happened to me, it was a blessing, and it was actually something that I feel like I needed to go through to get to where I am right now. So I don't look at it as like when I wasn't in, like, it's like when you're in the shit, it sucks. But once you get out of it, you'll be like, yo, I'm really happy that happened to me. But yeah, ended up coming back up here. Now mind you, rehabbed, trained, got back pretty much. Like I got back to a 585 deadlift. At the time, I was actually like my biggest. I think I got up to like 240 because when I got hurt, I dropped down to almost like 190, and I haven't been that small since I was like maybe kind of in getting out of high school and whatnot.
Yeah, you had a lot of muscle loss in your life.
Yeah, I had a lot of muscle loss. Like it was pretty bad. It looked like I can't even I don't even know any like comic book characters or anybody like that. Maybe Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, it was on
very Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, it was on the level of Johnny Bravo. Excuse me, but came back up here.
But just to backtrack a little bit too, like we're just talking about like squatting and deadlift and like your mental space, but just doing like the basic little things of life.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember you even said like, yo, I can't even do a push-up because your legs have to be straight. People don't realize how much lower body is involved in a push-up until you have no lower body to do it.
Oh yeah. So even with that, like you said, not even being able to do a push-up because like you said, like you need your quads.
Yeah.
So it's like I couldn't squat. I couldn't do push-up. I could do certain things.
Couldn't bend your knees.
I couldn't bend my knees. So
fuck a squat. Like you couldn't flex your knee.
Yeah, couldn't bend my knees.
And that took a long time for you to be able to do that. Like when you're in that space, and the thing about injuries that, like if you never really had one, I've had a few, but not like drastic. Like this is a major issue. I've had like minor strains, and I sprained my ankles a few times, and that limits you, and it does start to fuck with your head because the thing about injuries is like that psychological part of when am I gonna get better and am I gonna get better, and if I do get better, am I gonna be able to function the same? Like when I strained my hamstring, I couldn't tie my shoe for a couple days, and that was a minor strain. Yeah. So now you put in perspective with someone who blew out both of their, who literally snapped both of their patella tendons, like. We were hooting and hollering when you were able to bend your knee at 90 degrees. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you start putting that type of shit in perspective, it's like you really do look at your body as, like, really a blessing.
Yeah.
And
it definitely makes you appreciate, like you said, I mean, for me, I look at it to where I was able to walk, get back. I knew eventually I would walk. Yeah. There's some people that are permanently put in a wheelchair and they'll never be able to walk again. Or they have permanent disability, they can't do certain things. So it's just like, when you get past something like that, it's like, you start looking at things like to never really take that for granted. You know what I mean? To be like, yo, like he said, just being able to bend my knees at 90, that was like epic to me. You know what I mean? And that meant a lot. But even with that, when I got hurt, I went to a physical therapy, and actually they were giving me stuff to do. But actually, I was in a wheelchair for 2 weeks. No, to be honest with you, I didn't really use the wheelchair like that because I was on the third floor in an apartment. I actually just used crutches, and to be honest with you, like my upper body was so strong, I was actually able to do things that I guess a person that like maybe was not in the shape I was in would be able to do and be able to move. Because when they took me to the occupational therapist to teach me how to move and whatnot, I was like able to dip myself up, and they were just like, oh, well, you're, I was doing things, and they was like, well, that's gonna work. I said, all right, cool, I'm good. But
I will say, like, you was really determined to try to keep moving.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was actually a big thing. So like, I went to when I went to physical therapy, you go into those things like that, and it's like you see people in there where it's like, they get hurt and they're just kind of going through the motion and stuff. No, like I went in there like it was me and T going in there training. You know what I mean? Where it's like
you trying to PR them.
Yeah, it was literally like, it was like straight up like, it was straight like, intense. You know what I mean? I'm in there where it's just like, a couple times they were closing up. I was still doing like, they had a leg press. They had like an air, like a leg press that you could use. It was like air. You pump the air in or something like that.
Yeah.
I would be in there like, going kind of over my my physical therapy, like, my visit. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Dre, you good? You know what I mean? But it was like I was just so determined to be like, yo, I'm gonna get back to what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna let this stop me. Like, I still believe I can do what I want to do. You know what I mean? But yeah, and I was actually doing research on my own, and I feel like that's something
very important.
Which is very important because it's like sometimes, like, you know, your doctor, your physical therapist, they'll give you stuff, but sometimes, like, if it's valuable to look up stuff on your own, because to be honest with you, I was kind of teaching them and throwing them stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're looking at me like, oh, that actually works. So, like, I'll give you an example. When they started me on the bike, and you know, they started, you know, you pedaling forward, they like the seat would be up high, so it would be more like hip instead of like your knee flexion, but you'd eventually get that flexion because they want you to like break up the scar tissue and whatnot. So eventually I did it forward. I looked up powerlifters, couple guys that actually tore their patella tendons. So this is actually like, it's a horrible injury, but it's kind of common. But he said pedal backwards.
Yeah. So
I started pedaling backwards. And that hurt. Like, if you ever had like ACL, any type of knee surgery, anything like that, the scar tissue is so tight because they got you locked in that brace, and they only give you a little bit of flexion because they want to make sure that the parts heal. But going around and doing those that hurt really bad. But it eventually got to the point to where it's like it felt comfortable and I could lower the seat. And then that's what actually eventually got to where I could pedal the bike forward. You know what I mean? So that was an example where I did something not really outside of the box, but I did something different than what they wanted me to do. You know what I mean? But
and that's the beauty of like with injuries too. It's like that's your time to play with the body. You know what I mean? Like, I never wish injury on people, but the one thing that I always say is like, if you do get injured, you really build a different type of relationship with your body, because now you're literally in tune with the finest of movements.
Yeah.
Like, let's say if you're squatting, someone who has an injury somewhere, if they turn their foot literally like an extra 10 degrees, it might take all the pain away from whatever that source of pain is for them. You know, something they might not have even thought about, or, you know, just like going through regular exercise, but now you have this limitation and you have to figure out how to now maneuver with this limitation to still do these regular patterns that everybody should be doing just to have a healthy, strong body moving forward. So it's like, oh, all right, well, let me try moving my foot this way. Let me adjust my hip this way. Let me move my stance this way. Let me do it at this tempo, like little shit like that. So it really builds a different type of relationship with movement and with your body when you do get hurt.
And honestly, like, that's one of the things. I actually saw something that was on Elite FTS. It was actually, I think it was an Olympic lifter, but he pretty much said, like, you'll know what type of athlete or person you are when you get injured. Because a lot of people, it's like, it breaks them. They get frustrated. They, you know, a lot of things go in their head. Like, a lot of people don't come back. You know what I mean? Because they're like, yo, is it really worth it, or is this too hard? But it's one of them things, like I said, like, for me going through that was one of the best things that happened to me. And it actually showed me, like, what I'm actually capable of and what I'm able to, like, you know, withstand and go through. You know what I mean? But back to, I guess, forward a little bit. So I basically rehabbed from that, where I blew both my patella tendons out. This was a COVID happened, so basically the gym shut down. I was actually training at an undisclosed location where I was still able to train, and I was, you know, training hard and whatnot. September comes around. Now, mind you, got myself back, can deadlift, but I was still having problems with squatting. Like freeway squatting, just my knees were still bothering me. I'm like, you know what, I chalked it up to where it's like, well, bro, like, you know, you did blow out your patella tendons. Like, this is something that you might not be able to do. All right. So, but like I said, still pushing through it. I'm like, it is what it is. I could leg press, I could box squat. It was still hard, but whatever. Had a deadlift session. I go in there and I'm gonna hit 600. I go to pull 600 and I pass out at the top, and I dropped the bar and I walked backwards, and I basically fell kind of in the same fashion I fell when I squatted, and I fell awkwardly, like bent my right knee. So then I basically get up and I'm like, I have my knee sleeves on, and I'm like, all right, my knee feels weird. I basically take my knee sleeve off and my kneecap is up near like my quad. So basically, I retore my right patella tendon again. And this is after tearing both tendons, and down when I was in Delaware. Came back from that, Corona, all that crap like that. Retore September 8th, and that I would say was.
It'll be on YouTube, Dorm.
That was actually pretty really hard.
Yeah.
That actually hit me worse than the first time, because that one mentally really messed me up, because it was almost just like you came back from this, you got through this, and then it happens again. So now you really start questioning, like, all right, maybe this really isn't for me. You know what I mean? Maybe it's kind of time to pack it in. You know what I mean? So it was like that part was really hard. And it was like, you know, T picked me up, from the gym.
Yep.
And, I'm really like sitting there trying to hold back tears and not cry. And because it's like, it really just happened to me again. So all those kind of like dark thoughts come back into your head, where you're just like, maybe this is why, like, maybe certain things didn't work out because you're trying to do something that maybe you're not meant to do, and you need to give it up. So went to the hospital, gave me an x-ray. I told him, he was like, what do you think happened? I said, I tore my patella tendon. You sure? I said, yeah, I know. Get the x-ray. Like, yeah, Andre, you tore your patella. I'm like, yeah, I know. So get in the hospital. And that was real hard. You know what I mean? I'm in there, and it's kind of like, I just started crying, because I literally was just like, all right, what do I do now? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, is this over for me? Like, what is this? And I remember asking this, the nurse came in, and I'm sitting there, I was just like, let me just ask her a question. I was like, if you feel like you could do something, but you keep getting hurt, or it keeps, like, something's blocking you, do you give up, or she was like, nah, you never give up. She was like, you find a better way to do it, but you don't give up. You figure it out. So I kind of took that, where I was just like, okay, this is like, I would say everybody around me, nobody ever came out and said, like, Dre, you need to give this up. It was in my head. You know what I'm at? Because it was just like, you just came through this and you're going through it again. And like I said, your family, your friends, they don't want to see this keep happening to you. Mm-hmm. But it literally was just like, when she said that, it kind of was like, okay, she's saying not to give up. He said, yo, whatever it is, what it is, you'll figure it out. Maybe you just got to change.
Well, I was on your ass about how you was training.
He was on me. He was
a very big person.
He was on me about how I was training. And like I said, at that time, it was like we were still training similar. It was just certain things I guess I was doing. Like, I don't have the brain that I do now. Yeah. I'll put it to you like that. Mm-hmm. And to go back to like something we talked about earlier, this actually like opened up like another door, another thing I wasn't paying attention to. So got the surgery done on my right patella tendon. I'm at my apartment, kind of depressed, and there by myself, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Got a flare up of my Crohn's. Mm-hmm. Now, I can be completely honest with you. When I was younger and I was in high school, my mom was really on my ass to take care of it and to be on me like, you got to do this and do that and be on the medication, stuff like that. And to be honest, this is something that it doesn't go away. It's a lifelong thing, and it's like you're on medication to basically keep that disease in remission for your whole life. Yep. And some people, like, I guess I've been blessed to really not get anything, to not have the bad things happen to me. But some people get their colon removed, they get their rectum removed, colon removed, they have to get a colostomy bag, they have to get a part of their intestines removed. I never got it to, like, I guess that severe, because I guess I would say, like, maybe the way I changed my diet as I got older, maybe that saved me, or just, I don't know, whatever. But I'm in the apartment and I get a flare-up, and like I started noticing like flare-ups would happen to me when I was really stressed. Yeah. All right, so that happened, and I'm kind of sitting there. I'm like, okay, now great, this happens. It was around the time the actor from the Black Panther, he passed away from colon cancer.
Oh wow, that's right.
All right, so I saw that, and I'm a real big guy. I'm like going like things like signs and like certain things happening. You see certain stuff. I saw him pass away from colon cancer. It was another actor that passed away from colon cancer. And it was a news anchor that passed away from colon cancer. And with Crohn's disease, you have more of a chance to actually catch colon cancer. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back from this, but it's like if you don't take care of yourself, what's going on, you might not get there. Yeah. You might be dead. So I was like, you know what, let me go to it. So I actually got back on. Sometimes I'll be sporadic. I'll be on the medication when I get a flare up, it'll go away, then I get off because I don't like taking medication like that. So I got on that, stayed consistent, stayed on it, check on my doctors. It was this medicine, sulfasalazine, take it every day. Started going to the gym again, and I rehabbed myself, and the knee pain went away. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. Now, mind you, it's like I'm not doing things. I'm doing things differently, but then
no, you are doing things differently.
I am doing.
But you know what? Like at this point, because you jumped a little bit, but at this point, you were starting to view your body just kind of as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Sorry. And you were starting to look at yourself from the inside out, opposed to just, yo, I got fucked up knees.
Yeah,
which is a very, very big point. And I talk about this all the time with people about the joint by joint theory, right? Your source of pain oftentimes isn't your root of pain.
It's the indicator, right?
It's the indicator.
Yeah.
Shit, I just went through this with a client recently who's been having shoulder issues.
Yeah.
And we started doing lat work because we found out that he has one lat that's significantly stronger and has more mass than the other lat.
Yeah.
We're doing lat activation work. We're building up this strength in the lat, and instantly his shoulder pain went away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like with Dre has really flat feet.
Yeah.
So now pretty much the way the body's gonna work is if the source of your pain, if you didn't have a direct injury to it, and Dre had a direct injury to it, but he was still battling knee stuff before that.
Yeah.
So now either the joint above or below is going to be affected. So now the function of that joint is not doing what it should be efficiently, and now it just kind of moves up the kinetic chain.
Yeah.
Right? So your big toe is a mobile joint, your foot is a stable joint, your ankle's a mobile joint, your knee is a stable joint. Like, if any of that is off in the chain, you could be experiencing some pains other places, because now they're going to try to take on functions that they shouldn't be primarily doing, and now that causes a compromise within your kinetic chain, which might lead to a hip pain or a shoulder pain or elbow pain or whatever the pain is. So I know one of the big things with Dre, because like I said, that flat foot, that oftentimes leads to people that put extra pressure on their knee because their foot's not functioning the way that it should be functioning. So him standing on one leg wasn't good. Now you mix that in with this Crohn's disease that he's battling, and like he says, stress leads to that. Yeah. Not taking your medicine the way that you should be. Certain foods are
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, like that. Now you had to start looking at your diet because you were having certain flares or bad responses to certain foods.
Absolutely.
So when this second injury happened, he was working with me at one point for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so you started really just like, yo, I gotta take care of my whole body. I gotta figure out what the fuck is going on with me.
Yeah, and actually, now that you say that, it's like the first time around, I was just looking at it from a physical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
The second time around, it was physical and mental.
Yeah.
And it was trying to figure, and I was like, you know what? You're not going to get to where you want to go unless you fix everything.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, like, I guess you could say, like, everything in your
Yeah.
life, and you just become, like, a different person. You know what I mean? Whether it's, like, you know, fixing what's going on the inside, making sure you're fixing, like, you know, you're training, like, things properly on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
and it all just added up to get to me where I'm at right now. But I saw Mel got a question. It's like, yeah, when I noticed that when I flare up, because I've actually had flares a couple times now, even coming back. When I flare up, I have to kind of like back off certain movements and kind of alternate them. It's like, actually right now, I kind of had a flare up like maybe 2-3 weeks ago after a daily competition I had. So I kind of had to change up, like, you know, doing, I guess, more like bodybuilding, like leg pressing and stuff like that, and just backing off. I think that was my body's way of telling me, like, yo, you've been going hard for 2 months. Let's switch it up and change it up a little bit. Build some other things up, and then we'll get back onto it.
Mm-hmm.
But
and I think you're noticing how much like heavy lifts are actually taking a toll on your whole body now compared to how they did before.
Yeah, that was something.
Like your nervous system is getting shot different today.
Yeah, that was something that like when we were coming up, it's like you felt it, but like as I'm older now, like as in my 30s, it's like you feel it a little bit differently now, and it's like I said, honestly, the second time around was the first time around. I feel like was a warm up for what. The next, what I went through with my right patella tendon re-tearing again. Now it's like, okay, now we're on the right path of where you need to be. Because it's like you're fixing stuff, you're attacking your Crohn's disease, you're making sure that's in check. And that was a big thing that I didn't really know because I actually started researching that. And the joint pain is actually a big side effect. Yeah. Now, mind you, I thought it was because of the way I was training or just not built. It was the whole time. It was because I wasn't addressing, like, the Crohn's disease. I wasn't on top of it because it was like, even though I wasn't having flare-ups, the thing was still attacking my body. The thing was still giving me like symptoms, like problems, but I just didn't put two and two together. And I feel like that's one of those things to where it's like, sometimes you got to go through stuff. Like God has to put you in certain situations to almost like, wake you up. You know what I mean? To let him know, like, hey, man, like, I'm trying to give you a sign, but you're not listening. So something really big has to happen to you to where it's like, okay, do you hear me now? You know what I mean? And the first time it was like, I feel like he was teaching me, like, okay, you have the strength to go through this. But the second time when I got hurt, it was like, you're still not addressing that one problem that's there. And it's like, until you go after that and just fix everything and attack everything, you're not going to get to where you want to go. So,
and I want to jump in real quick, too, because it's so important that you made that observation because pain is common, but it's not normal. Yeah. And I want people to realize that part. Like, when you feel like something's straining, when you feel like something's achy, when you feel like something's like, doesn't feel right, that's not normal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And what I mean by normal is like we shouldn't really be experiencing that. No. It's common because it happens to everybody. Yeah. It's going to happen. Like everybody has something that's a little off. Yeah. Especially if you get older in age because life happens, right? And it doesn't even have to be like you're an athlete, you're a gym head. Everybody's line of work requires them to compromise in some way. Yeah, absolutely. If you're big into labor, you might use your hands a lot. Your hands are going to have more work than someone who doesn't use their hands a lot. If you're a person who stares at the computer a lot, your eyes are taking more of a strain. Chances are your posture and your neck is taking more of a strain. Absolutely. So we all have these things that come with us based off of our daily life and whatever our life routine requires out of us. Yeah. Right? So you might feel a little elbow pain here. Might feel a little neck thing here. You might feel something else here. Just because that's common doesn't mean that it's right. Yeah. So you need to look into ways of alleviating this stuff and treating this stuff to make your daily living better. And I always tell people, like, eventually it's going to catch up with you. And if you look at your case, you were diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2007. Yes. It is 2022. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You didn't take a serious injury until about 10 years later. Yeah. And to be honest with you, it was and like, you felt the symptoms.
Oh, yeah. No, and to be honest with you, it's like I knew eventually it was going to happen. To be honest with you, I was like, not to sound, I actually I feel like, okay, I want something to happen because maybe I can restart everything and get back on track. I can finally fix it. You just didn't want it to happen like that. I didn't want it to happen like that, but it was one of them things to where it's like I knew, like, okay, one day it might happen. But I was just like, I guess the brain of like, going hard and stuff like that. I'm like, it is what it is. I was like, I'll bounce back up from it. But it was like the second time around just really changed me for the good, and it really changed my way of thinking when it comes to training. You know what I mean? I'm more aware now of listening to my body. Yeah. Like I push, like, don't get me wrong, I push, but within a certain limit. And to be honest with you, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually now like, well, when we power up to the competition together, we had a coach. I was on a structured program. Yeah. After that, sometimes like I would, you had like a layout, but it was like I would kind of just go in there and train. Now everything's structured. I actually have an old program that I bought years ago, the Q program by Brandon Lilly that I'm actually following, and it has everything dialed in there to where it's like it has deload day, it has like a speed day, heavy day, all that, but I follow it to a T. So it's like when it says, hey Dre, you got to do this on this day, it's a speed day or explosive day, I do that.
Yeah.
And I treat that with the same intensity of it's like a heavy workout. I don't sit there and look at it like, oh crap, man, it's a light day. Like, no, you have to go hard and treat it with respect. And that's another thing too. It's like the second time around, I just looked at when I went into the gym, it's like, this is really a blessing to be able to do this.
Yeah.
So it's like,
shit, you deadlifted 585 recently.
585, yeah. Yeah, I did that
amazing,
in April. But not only that, it was like, I started looking at it differently because I think the first time around, it's like I expected. Like when I first blew it out, it was just like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna come back. It is what it is. The second time around, I was like, I'm taking everything in from the barbell, like just the barbell by itself to 135 to 225. Like I remember just like I had a newfound, like I always respected the gym. We always respected the gym, but this time it's like I'd walk in there and I get done with a session. Let's say like I came back, my first deadlift workout was 225 for 5. I walked out, I was just like, take that in. You know what I mean? Don't just look at that and be like, all right, man, now I got 315. It's like, no, take the 225 in. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, you go up 10 pounds next week. Take the 245 in. Take the 265 in. Take the 275 in. Because that way, I feel like you'll get a head and you'll get to you want to go faster looking at it that way than being like, if I got hurt, like, all right, man, I got to get to 585. It's like, no, let's get to the bar first. Yeah. Let's get to 135 first.
But you know what also helped you with that?
Yeah.
You started tuning off social media.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that was a big thing too. It's like a lot of social media, and like a lot of this can help anybody. It don't matter if you're a powerlifter, you just getting started. A lot of that crap you see on the social media and stuff like that, they're showing you their highlights. You know what I mean? They're not showing you like, okay, they did 585. Now they go home and they got ice knees and their back's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like some people get bored, like they're training, but they're not showing you. Like sometimes you go in there and sometimes it's just you're just dragging, or you just got to put the work in. You know what I mean? There's no like, every day is not a highlight day, and that's something that like even for me as I got older, and just like where I'm at right now in my training, it's like that's not something I understood when we were young, when we were going in there, to where it's just like, okay, every day doesn't have to be like. That one shit you did where you did 495 for 13 on the deadlift.
Legendary.
That's some crazy shit. That's why I said, like, to be honest with you,
165.
I wish this dude would get back into it. He eventually will, but it's like the shit. Like I see some shit now, but it's just like the shit I witnessed when we were coming up, and that's another part too. I'm actually even blessed with that part too. Like, but the shit I saw growing up, I mean, coming up with him, with some of the cats, him, Drew, Derek. That shit was crazy. 495 for 13 at 165 dead stop. That shit's crazy with no straps. That's crazy. But anyway, it's like it's like
a lot of anime that day.
Yeah, but it's like
I lost the videos.
But that mentality is like of like, oh, we gotta go in here, we gotta bleed, we gotta do this. Yeah, you do have to bleed, but at the same time you gotta work. But at the same time, every day really not gonna be like that. Because it's like you have to start looking at it, and I think me and T had a conversation. It's like, okay, what's the goal?
There you go.
As long as you're getting and you're progressing, it's for anybody. Even if you're just starting out or you're losing weight, like, don't look at that day, just that day. I mean, it matters, but like you got an off day. Let's look at the weeks.
In the grand scheme of things, the day doesn't matter. It's like. The weeks matter, the months matter, the intention matters, the structure matters, the program matters, because you can have a great day. Absolutely. You can have an amazing day.
Absolutely.
And if the next 7 days are shitty, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
I'd rather you have 5 good to decent days.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because like it's more sustainable and you're going to get more out of good days than you're going to get more out of the bad days. So oftentimes, like, because, life happens, dude. Like, there's times you'll have amazing sleep. Your stress levels are non-existent for the day. You got your meals in. You're excited to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And you get in the gym, and it's like, this ain't the day I was imagining.
Yeah.
And then there's times that you come in, you mad, this is going on, whatever, and you just pour it out into the barbell. And then you might not have the best sleep or whatever, but you have a great session. And I just bring up that point just to say that you really can't always predict when you're going to have a great day and when you're going to have a bad day. But the other part behind that is, what are you measuring as a good day and a bad day?
Yeah.
Because it could be subjective, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't know your intention going into the gym, you're not really going to know what's necessarily a bad day or a good day. So our mentality going in was, we have to give grade A, hard effort every workout. Yeah, but no at the same time, because hard effort and grade A focus doesn't necessarily mean you're taxed for the workout. You know, so if my goal for the day is to improve my hip capsule range of motion, and I achieve that, the workout doesn't have to be hard. I achieved opening my hips. That's the win. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I go in there and the goal is to get a chest pump, and I get my chest pump, I won the day. And that doesn't mean that this workout was necessarily the hardest workout I've ever done in my life. It doesn't have to be.
And to be honest with you, that's actually how I started looking at my workouts, to where it's like, no matter if it was a bad day, but like he said, what's a bad day? But I just started looking at workouts being like, I got in here and I got out.
Yeah.
I didn't get hurt. Because it's like, when I got hurt, it's like, when I blew my knees out, it's like, you don't forget that to get wheeled out of the gym. And I think some people don't really like understand that, to where it's like, it's a blessing to be in here. It's a blessing to be able to do this. You know what I mean? It's a blessing to just be able to, like, you know, touch the iron and just like and work out. And like he said, it's like, I don't really consider any of my days bad day. I mean, I may get a little mad and a little frustrated, but that was my old way of thinking. Like, now the brain I have now is to where it's like, okay, you still put the work in that's needed to be done to get you to where you want to go. And like, even recently, I've had days where days haven't been like my best, but I was like, you still put work in that's gonna add up and get you to where you want to go. You know what I mean? So that's like a big thing. And like I said, just really taking in like some of the stuff that you're doing. And like I said earlier, doesn't matter what level you're at, doesn't matter if you just started out. Like, if you squatted the bar, if you couldn't squat to a box with your body weight, and in a week or two or a couple weeks later you got that and you hit it for 10 reps, be proud of that.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in like, oh, well, this person's doing this. It's like, it's better to start out like learning the basics and being a master at that than just doing stuff just to like put it on Instagram or whatever like that. Because like, eventually it's like, that's, you're really not going to go anywhere, and you're rushing the process instead of letting it just like,
you're training to show others and you're not really training to get better.
Yeah. And that was,
and that's a very vicious cycle that people run into, sometimes on purpose, sometimes subconsciously.
And that was a big thing too, that even with me, it's like, I got not caught up, but it's like, I actually had 2 Instagram. My first Instagram, I actually had like, I followed a lot of fitness stuff, a lot of powers, a lot of lifters, kings of lifts. And to be completely honest with you, in my opinion, I think that's like some of the worst shit you probably could actually do, because it's like, I feel like it almost like, let's say you deadlifted, 225 or 315, like female, whatever, male, female, and you do that and you're proud of that. You go look at something like on Instagram, you see a person 165 deadlift 700. Psychologically, it might mess you up.
I think you got to know what type of person you are.
It depends.
Because like me, I'm competitive. So when I powerlifted,
that's true.
I wanted to be better than everybody that I was looking at.
That's true.
Remember Justin Caputo? God damn, dude, he was 165, squatting 600, blah blah blah. And remember there was the Facebook chat. Yeah. And then I posted my squat video on there, and he commented, and he was like, "This is an amazing squat." Yeah. Oh shit, my fucking week is made. You know what I mean? But so I was looking at the top guys, and I wanted to compete with them. Yeah. That was what inspired me. But I think what becomes the problem is, if you're a competitive person, that's great, but you have to realize where you are, and you have to also appreciate where you're going and the progress that you made. You can still chase the higher spot, especially if you're that type of competitive person. Yeah. But don't let that just deter you, and don't let that break you down so much, and you're like, oh, well, what I'm doing, it doesn't matter because this person could do this, or this person. This is your journey. Like, we don't give a fuck about that. That's not important.
And to be honest, yeah, and actually you're right though. It all depends on like what you're in, and what field, and what you sport. Like,
you got to realize what sets your fire.
I guess like I say, for me, I was a victim of that. Instead of really sitting there looking at it, it's like, yo, like, do you realize what you're doing right now? You know what I mean? Even now, it's like it took the second time around for me to get hurt to realize it's like, okay, do you realize like what you're doing?
Yeah.
You realize like you just squatted 585 and like 3 years ago.
Turn the light up a little
3
bit.
years ago, you almost blew your knee. You blew your knees out.
Yeah.
And then it's like you retore your patella tendon. It's like, do you realize what just happened? You know what I mean? So it's like I said, for me, it was just like, I'm grateful for that to happen. I'm grateful I went through that. You know what I mean? Like, it was one, like, to me personally, it was one of the best things that could ever happen to me. Like, I don't look at it as like, oh, woe is me and stuff like that. I feel like, one, it made me mentally tougher, and it made me appreciate certain things, and it's just like it got me back on the path that I feel like I was off actually when I was 17, because it was like felt like I was going upward, but I wasn't really like, I felt like I was focused, but I wasn't focused. I felt like I was really dedicated, but I wasn't. It wasn't until everything happened to me again to where it's just like, okay, if you want this, you gotta really, like, you gotta eat, sleep, and breathe it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just like going to the gym. It's like, okay, that's important. Mobility, studying stuff on your own, paying attention to your body, paying attention to the exercises you're doing, be like, okay, is this working? Like, what is this doing? Not getting caught up. And it's like, I actually was a victim of like, kind of like over analyzing, or what do you call it, when you take in too much information. Like, you take in too much stuff.
You got so much, and now it's like you don't have a focus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's actually better just to be ignorant to some stuff, because it's like when you know too much, or you're trying to apply everything, it's not working. You just gotta pick. Like, it's almost like I had a conversation yesterday. Someone was like, "Oh, we haven't done this exercise in a while because we've been doing this exercise for a while." It's like there's thousands of exercises. There's thousands of variations. There's like, and they all can work. You know what I mean? So it's just, you just kind of find what groove that you're in now and allow yourself to live there for a little bit so you can progress in it, or you can see how you respond to it. Like, you have to give yourself enough learning curve and enough time to go through these movements and these programs and these stimuluses to see how they affect you. Absolutely. And I think what starts to happen, especially like people that are new into lifting, they start to program hop. You used to program hop a lot too, and I used to get on you about that. And it's just like, dude, like, let some shit ride out for a little bit, because you're not giving yourself enough time to get a stimulus from it.
And that was a big change that actually, like, I've been doing now, where it's just like, instead of me like sitting here and abandoning like a whole program, I pick something, I lay something out. So like the cube method is 10 weeks.
Yeah.
I lay it out. I say, you know what, you're gonna do exactly what's on there. And at the end of 10 weeks, you test it. Let's see what worked. Let's see what didn't.
Yeah.
And then, instead of abandoning the whole program, like, let me go do this, how about you just alter and tweak certain things? Mm-hmm. Like, case in point, I did a deadlift cycle. So I was doing deadlifts, straight from the floor. And I told myself, I was like, you know what happens what if I just throw like a deficit in there? Yeah. So I was like, you know what, let's do it, and let's do it for 10 weeks, and let's see what happens at the end. Mm-hmm. Pulled 585, felt like nothing. So I looked at it to where it's like, okay, this is something that you were missing years ago, to where it's like, now it's like, it's like, okay, just relax and let everything just build up, and you'll eventually get there, instead of just looking like, oh, I got to do this number, like, that's your main focus on that day. It's like, I got to hit 600. It's like, no, you got to do what it says on the program today. Mm-hmm. You got to get better for this day. That's how you're going to get to where you want to go, instead of looking at it like, I got to get there. You know what I mean? And the same applies if somebody's trying to lose weight. It's like, don't look at the angle. Look at where you're at, the weeks. You know what I mean? Yeah. 1 to 2 pounds, whatever. Look at, like, if you have a movement problem, you can move better. Look at that. Don't just look at, like, I want to get there.
And honestly, it's like, you got to focus on the habits to make the results.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so you brought up, like, fat loss. So, oftentimes, I want to chase these 5 pounds. I want to chase these 10 pounds, blah, blah, blah. Is your structure of habits aligned for you to achieve this goal?
Yeah.
With the strength training, is your structure of habits aligned for you to build this knee strength, to build this hip strength, to build this range of motion, to, you know what I mean? Like, all of this stuff matters. And that's why I'm like, you just can't look at just you having an off day. When you have consistently off days, now we have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like, when they say that 80-20 rule, like, for most of us, that's going to be true. Unless you're like a serious, competitive, high-level athlete whose lifestyle is completely different from the average person. So you shouldn't even compare yourself to that, because these people get paid to live a lifestyle of performance. That's a whole different world.
Absolutely.
That's a whole different set of expectations. And if I was paid to work out, I would be in super crazy shape too.
Absolutely.
Like, extremely. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different playing field. So you just have to realize your circumstances, which is a whole different conversation. But the point that we're just making is, like, you have to be consistent in a plan. You have to give time for the plan to work, and you don't want to come across and be like, oh, well, I found this new exercise, or oh, well, I found this thing that, let me scrap everything that I'm doing. Well, it's like, maybe you don't have to scrap it. Maybe you can find a way to experiment with it and implement it and put it in. But at the end of the day, sometimes if you got a rhythm that's working for you, don't change it. What's the point?
No.
Even if this thing looks like the coolest thing in the world, take a note and come back to it. If you want to explore it for the day or whatever, fine, have a blast, cool. But, like, it really just goes back to that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, let it keep working, because let's say your plan is to add 5 pounds on for the next 6 weeks onto a lift, and you've been doing that every week. Why are you going to switch gears and do something completely different if everything that you're doing is aligning to the goal that you're trying to do? And I think that happens so often because we're too busy looking at this person and looking at this person and seeing what this person did and seeing what this person did, to where it just becomes oh, let me try this. Let me try this. It's not let me implement this.
And that was
it's a difference.
Sorry, that was another big thing I did too. So it was like, I feel like when I restarting like the journey again, I started training overnight, like, alone. You know what I mean? I wanted to get back to where it's like, it's kind of how I first started. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you go into the gym, at least with me, it's like he said, it's like you're kind of looking what other people do and stuff like that. And I was like, I said, no, you know what? You need to be alone. You need to go in here, put your head down, and just work, and just focus on you, focus on the goal. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I feel like that was another big thing that helped me. I mean, outside of me, even, like, that's why I kind of built my gym in my apartment too, because I just wanted to be able to just have that laser focus and just, like, make sure I'm in tune with everything that's going on. And that's, like, another thing too, where it's just like, you know, I record my workouts, and I had a conversation with him. It's like, we've gotten so, I guess, caught up in that sometimes, to where it's just like, I feel like you kind of lose the intensity and, like, the focus that in the workout sometimes, to where it's just like you're worrying about the angle, you're worrying about this and that, and it's just like, well, that's all cool, but it's just like, are you really, are you putting effort? Are you in tune with what's going on right now? Yeah. You know what I mean? So for me, like, that was a big thing. Like, a couple this week, I've actually not put the camera on as much, because I was just like, I feel like I'm losing that intensity, I'm losing that focus, and I'm just like, you know, back in the day and stuff, like, we didn't really, like, we had that, but we didn't have that. Yeah. It was you go in there and it was just like, okay, you're in tune with what's going on. Like, now it's kind of become like, hey, you know, somebody could do something, and it's just like, you know, you want to record it, it's just like you're not really taking in, and you're not really focused on what you're doing. You know what I mean? That's for me. I'm sorry.
No, but it's true, though. And honestly, it's like being present with your training.
I got to get another question, sorry.
What was the next question? I can't even see them.
No, I said, do you think you plan to ever compete again? But go ahead. No, good.
Oh, man?
No, I think she was talking.
Oh, do you plan
to compete? Yeah.
No, better compete again.
No, finish it.
Better compete again. But no, the being present with your training is so important. Like, one of my mottos is strength and control. And what I mean by that, too, is controlling every exercise with correct intent and patience and focus and rhythm. That's another part that gets missing in, like, exercises. Your rhythm is very important when you're doing an exercise.
I'm actually get to that.
Yeah.
It actually has, like, a lot to do with you.
Yeah, so. Exercise rhythm is extremely important, which I want to start doing more videos on, and that's, like, been a kind of a hot topic that I've been, like, in my head about, just what most people don't recognize that part like that of being in an exercise rhythm with your coordination of a movement and your breathing and your patterning, like all this stuff comes into good exercise activation and performance.
You know, honestly, that goes to like kind of what I'm talking about, like making sure you're in tune with what's going on.
Exactly.
And I feel like sometimes it's like, you know, some people be concerned like setting up the camera. It's like you're missing out on what he just said.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really in tune with what's going on. You know what I mean? You're not really focused. It's like exercising is like not easy. Like it's not something you just do. It's not just picking up like.
I say it's the most simple, complicated thing in the world.
Absolutely, because like a lot of these movements, it's like, you know, you do it wrong, you can't get fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know, like what he was saying earlier, it's just like I took a lot of things from him. You know what I mean? Like watching him train now, and just like actually even we're growing up. You know what I mean? Just watching everybody to where it's just like. You can learn something from everybody, like how they move, what they do. And it's like, even with him, it's like, I look at how he trains, like the body control, how he squats and stuff like that. And I kind of look at that as, okay, what can I take certain things that he's doing and put it into my program, or be more mindful to try to move and be more coordinated so I can be stronger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of just like, you know, I guess muscling through whatever it is, you know what I mean?
And getting like momentum yourself through it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's been a conversation I was having this week too. But I was actually just bringing this up the other day. Remember the conversation we had about your air squats, like just body weight squats?
Yeah.
And we got into a little bit of a conversation with that because you was like, look, I can do it. And I said, yeah, you can do it, but how are you doing it? That was the difference.
Yeah.
I'm like, a bodyweight squat should feel very natural. It should feel very pain-free. And you should still be able to activate your glutes, your quads, your calves, your hamstrings, these things like that. Like, you should be able to feel these things just from your bodyweight squat. And you were doing it, but you were shaking. Your breathing was off. Like, it looked like a real strain for you to do it. And you were looking at it like, but I can do it. And I'm like, that's not enough.
But you know what? To come to that, it's like, I actually think that actually came from, like, I think now I actually probably have the better control that you're talking about.
You do.
But but I feel like that all actually came back from the fact that it was like, I was training way before, like, my knees blew out and stuff like that. I didn't really have any quads. Yeah. So I basically was training like squatting and deadlifting and stuff like that with half my body. And I don't know how I don't know how the hell I did. I don't know how the hell I did half that shit anyway, because I was like literally lifting with like half my body. But it wasn't until like, you know, recently, now I know what it feels like to be able to have control and be able to have use of all my muscles in my body, especially with my legs.
To like activate your way through an exercise.
Exactly, because I wasn't able to do that. Like, this stuff I'm doing now, where it's like, yo, I can do this. I feel my quads.
Yeah.
I feel my ass. I feel my you know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting there, it's just like, yo, it's freaking awesome. You know what I mean? But
but yeah, is that a question?
Yeah, sorry, Enzo.
Yeah, man, fuck that shit, right?
But I saw Mel's question. Mel, I do actually plan on competing. Well, basically, I did. My boy Alex had a deadlift competition. It was freaking awesome. I pulled 585 on that day. And actually, if anybody is following me on Instagram, I recently squatted 315, maybe around like February. And to be honest with you, that was the first time I had 315 on my back in 3 years. You know what I mean? And
you was like, front squatting this shit recently?
Talk about it, man.
I'll be here not talking about it, man. Get your shit on.
And that's the thing. It's like getting the Crohn's under control. I guess I figured out what was holding me back, and it was like the joint pain was coming from that. Mm-hmm. So now that I got that under control, the joint pain is gone. Like, I'm actually able to squat without knee sleeves. Mm-hmm.
Which is huge. I haven't seen Dre squat without knee sleeves since fucking high school. And I used to get on you about that shit too.
Yeah, but it was like, but you know what it was? I wasn't putting two and two together, and it was like I wasn't really listening to my body. It was just like, you know what? Hey man, this is what it is. You know, who gives a shit? Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was like, I'm able to do things now I couldn't do. I know he probably gonna be mad. But when I was training with him, when he was helping me, I was doing it. I could do a split squat.
No, that was big.
This is shit that, like, when I tell you, he's been there with me, Drew's been there with me, I couldn't do none of that shit at all.
Yeah.
Like I would sit there literally like, you know, only able to do maybe a leg press, maybe a squat, and that was kind of it. But now I'm able to actually do like, I'm actually able to train legs.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm seeing all this progress and it's like, yo, this is freaking awesome. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what the hell that felt like. Like there would be days where like literally like I would be in the gym and it would like really like mentally fuck me up. But it was like, yo, like I can't push my body the way that I want to. But it wasn't until all these things happened to me that it put me back on the path that I'm at right now. And it's like, honestly, like, it's just God, you know what I mean? I'm blessed to be able to do what I love. I'm still able to do it. And it's like, to be honest with you, it's like, now I feel like kind of like the sky's the limit, you know what I mean? But like he was saying, like, I recently squatted 315, front squat at 250. I deadlifted 585, and to be honest with you, like, all this is like I was saying before, it sounds small to some people. It's not a big number, but to me, this is freaking huge because it's letting me know.
But it's not small anyway.
It's not small. It's not small.
And
anyway.
I never want someone to think their accomplishments are small.
Yeah.
Your accomplishment is your accomplishment.
That's true. Yeah, nah,
you know what I mean? And if you don't know where someone's been, when they hear this stuff, it's like, damn, you went from 5 years ago completely tearing both of your patella tendons and doctors telling you, yeah, I don't think you'll be doing that lifting thing that you like to do so much.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then 5 years later, you're deadlifting close to 600.
Absolutely.
You're front squatting, which you wasn't even doing before. You're doing a split squat. You got 3 wheels back on your back.
On my back.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is all progress.
Yeah.
Your activation is better. Your legs grew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not looking at that like that's small. Like, no, this is fucking humongous. And you're beating the cause or beating the odds of what was told, but that's also because that's mindset too, right? It's very, very often you're gonna hear doctors say, "Oh, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that," and that's not to say you shouldn't listen, but it's like you still gotta have your own brain, and you still have to have a will, and you have to realize that like the human body is meant for movement.
Absolutely.
So now, if you stop yourself from moving, fuck the squatting, a bar on your back. Everybody should be at a point. I don't give a fuck what age you are. You should be able. You should strive to be able to comfortably do a bodyweight squat.
Absolutely.
To be able to sit in a 90-degree position without back, knee, whatever. Like, that's my belief. And I'm always impressed by the people that I see in their 70s and 80s that they're doing rows, they can do a squat, just like little stuff like that. It doesn't have to be this humongous heavy weight. It's the functionality that you can fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because that says so much about your body. When I assess clients coming in, I'm checking for physical literacy and I'm checking for the ability to see what they can do. Can you do a bent over row with core engagement and a flat spine? Can you retract your scapula? Can you balance on one leg for 1 to 2 minutes? Can you breathe properly?
Yeah.
Can you sit into a squat? Do you know what a hinge is?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this little stuff, like, that's the foundation.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Once you can do all this, I'm not even going to say functional, I'm going to say fundamental movement skills, all the fun comes from that.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to keep chasing to make sure that we're performing these things at a high level. So now when you add weight to it, yeah, it's up now.
Yeah.
Now when you add a tempo to it, it's up now. Like, these things that our body is just meant to do, everybody should be doing at any age. From a fucking kid, train your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to load them with heavy ass barbells and stuff like that, but kids should be doing kid shit. They should be jumping, they should be crawling, they should be sprinting, they should be moving side to side, they should spin around in fucking circles, they should catch a ball. Like, all this stuff is training the human body to just fucking move. Now imagine if you stayed with this from young age and just never stopped as you get older. You're just gonna have a healthy fucking body.
Yeah, and I always tell people, it's like, it don't gotta be lifting, it don't gotta, like, just do something, like you said, movement. If you into yoga, do yoga. If you into, jogging, jog. If you into CrossFit, do CrossFit safely. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a certain...
well, do all of it safely.
Do all of it safely.
And that's the part, too. And you have to know when it's times to back off.
Absolutely.
You have to know if you're competing. You have to know if you're training for a goal. You have to know if you're just training to have a healthy, sustainable body. All of these come with different mind frames. You know, when I go into a powerlifting competition, my goal is to lift the heaviest shit possible on that platform. So everything that I do leading up to that moment, it better line up.
Absolutely.
This isn't when I'm worrying about having this chiseled six-pack. I'm not worried about what my mile time is. Like, no, I'm getting fucking strong. And I can worry about what I want to do after this competition because my goal set is to do this thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just be trying to do too much at once. It's like, movement is forever. Absolutely. And movement truly is medicine. Figure out what the fuck you want to do. Set your intentions on it. Create a plan and be consistent.
Absolutely.
You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. But be present in what you're doing. And if you're just getting into fitness, like, moving is a start. But once you get past that basic part of just moving, especially if it's hard for a person that, like, just doesn't do any movement and now they start moving, these conversations are a little bit different because we're trying to create the habit of you creating a routine.
Yeah.
And that can be a process in the beginning.
Absolutely.
The progress for you is creating the routine. Then we can get into these specifics a little bit more because now the routine is here. And that's where you start looking at progress. It's like, well, I went from not training at all to making it to the gym 2 days a week for 6 weeks straight.
That's
you
progress. That's progress.
2 days might have turned into 3 days. That's progress. Not being food conscious turned into you actually paying attention to what's on your plate. That's progress. So everybody has their baseline, figuring out what your baseline is, and then you add from there, and you add from there. So what starts to happen over the years is your baseline starts to change. Mm-hmm. So now your habit is you being in the gym 4 days a week. That's your life. It's not you're trying to chase that anymore. Like, if you don't do it, you feel weird.
Yeah.
Like, it starts getting to that point. Like, you know, I've been training, like, your body itches for it. Like, hey, I need that medicine. I need my dose.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now, and that's what started happening to you on that mental aspect. And you sitting here like, yeah, I need that dose. You know, I'm not getting it. I'm fucking sitting here.
Absolutely.
In pain. And that's where you start getting into depression because what a lot of people don't realize is not being physically incapable of something really starts to fuck with your mind.
Oh, yeah.
And when I work with new clients and they really start getting into strength training and they really start to improve their habits and their movement, confidence comes.
I know I got a question.
What's good, Mel?
After your injury, what was your baseline? What was it? The second time around, I actually didn't lose too much weight. And to be honest with you, because I went through it the first time, mm-hmm. I kind of actually progressed a little bit faster. So I remember, like, you know, like T was saying, like, you know, when you're not moving, you're just sitting there being depressed. And like I said, that second time around was really, really hard. But I was just like, you know what? You've been through this before. You've been through worse. And everything, like, this is just a repeat. So it's like, just go do something. So yeah. I remember just going in there. No, I remember being home and T has these slides. And I would just be sitting on the couch and just be sliding my legs back and forth, just getting some type of range of motion.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right. Then I ended up going to the gym. Same thing like I said before. Just I went overnight, riding the bike backwards, doing leg extension, doing like leg lifts with the knee that just got surgery on it, doing step ups, even if it was like it was barely an inch, mm-hmm. but just doing a step up because I was just like, yo, don't think about the squat, don't think about that stuff. Like he said, think about moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you can't, like, stepping up is something that doing a step up is something you do in real life when you step up on the stairs. So it's like, if you can't do that, don't think about that other shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, went in there, did step ups, doing the glute machines, the inner and the outers. Then I actually ended up going in the leg press. When I started in the leg press, it was just the leg press by itself. Then the next week it was a 45 on each side. And like I said before, it was like I never looked at it as like I looked at it like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. This is all that matters. So doing this 45 on each side for 10, 3 sets of 10, progress.
Mm-hmm.
Let's come here next week, throw a 25. So I approached it differently. Instead of just making, like I guess you could say, like the plate jumps where you do one 45, another 45. I was like, no, let's progress this. Let's write everything down. Let's get better each single time you come in here. And but yeah, I did I was mainly machines first when I came back from the second time around to build up. Then I started shifting into more. I actually worked with T, and he got me into doing like the pause front squats or the tempo front squats, the split squats, what's it called? The beast walks, that was called. The where you on your fours and you like the walks.
Yeah, we were doing that just for like core, lat, and quad activation. So we were just trying to create internal tension.
Yeah.
And create muscular activation.
Yeah.
Because what I was trying to do with Dre was to bring awareness to these muscle groups.
Yeah.
So I wanted him to feel glutes. I wanted him to feel quads. I wanted him to feel hamstrings. So just him being able to engage was a win. Dre was squatting and wasn't feeling quads. That's crazy.
Yeah, people were
like really put that in perspective. Quads are one of the easiest muscle groups to feel.
Wouldn't feel shit. Like literally wouldn't feel shit. So it's just like I basically just like restarted everything over.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's why I felt like it was like I didn't look at it as like, oh, what was me? It looked like it's like, all right, man, you're like a noob again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can take this time to really feel and pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, hey man, I lifted this and that. Like I'm gonna just get back to that. It's like, no, you're at where you're at right now, and that's all that matters. And
I think to help answer your question a little bit too, Mal, like I think Dre was in a space where he was trying to create a new baseline.
Yeah,
so it's like we all know Dre's strong, and we know Dre's like brute strong. So now we want him to control the strength. So it's not just moving through it anymore or getting through the exercise. Like we know you can do the deadlift.
Actually,
we know you can do the squat. Now, how do you do the squat? How do you do the deadlift? That's the difference.
And I don't know if this could help anybody, but like to be honest with you, I keep saying the second time around. When I fell the second time around and I got hurt, the person I was before, I was like, that person's not here.
Yeah.
So I literally was like, I'm not chasing to go back to where I'm at, where I was before.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said, this is a totally different person. Fuck all the shit I did in the past. That shit doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And I felt like that was the only way I was able to come back to where I'm at right now, because it was just like I feel like it happened to me again and be like, look, you got to just sit here and pay attention to what's going on right now and be in the moment. Don't think about the future and don't think about the past. Think about this workout right now. That's all that matters. So it's like he said, like, I just looked at it as almost like, I didn't look at this as a comeback. Like the first time around I got hurt, I looked at it as like, I got to come back. This second time, I said, no, this is a rebirth. This is a chance to restart everything over again and almost like do it better. Because to be honest with you, we both were naturally strong when we first started. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how the fuck I got to some of the numbers I got to. I just know how we went in there and we got strong. And we did.
Honestly, you're just consistent.
Yeah, but like what he was saying, this time around, I know how I got there.
Yeah.
There ain't no fucking, hey, well, I just did this and that. It's like, no, I started with this. Mm-hmm. I did this. And I got better each and every single time I stepped in. I know when to pull back. I know when to push. So I'm aware of everything that's going on. And this is the knowledge that I feel like I didn't have, or at least I wasn't really like paying attention to when the years we were in there. It was kind of just like go, 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 go. You know what I mean? It was just like I wasn't really in tune like with everything that was going on. And like I said, this time around, I feel everything that's going on. I'm appreciative of everything that I've done in the gym. I don't sit there and just look at it as like we were saying earlier, I didn't mean to say small, but it's like, I don't sit there and look at that shit like that. I'm like, yo, like I really just did that shit. And it's like sometimes like I'm my own worst critic and I'm hard on myself. But I was like, yo, do you realize what you're doing right now? Do you realize it's like where you came from. And sometimes I have to really sit there and put that in perspective and be like, there's some people that get hurt, like powerlifters or lifters, they don't come back from it. They don't, like, and this is an injury where it's just like, I guess luckily like technology and like medicine is better now with surgery and stuff, but this is an injury that like you don't come back from. Like you're hurt, they give you surgery to go through it, but you're not the same. Your power output's not the same. You don't move the same. Yeah. I've been blessed to where it's just like some things are still a little bit different. Like there's still like I'm never gonna be 100%. I'm never gonna be like if my knees didn't get messed up. But where I'm at right now, I'm better than I was before. Yeah, I'm way better than I was before. It's like I
think you are too, honestly.
Absolutely. I said mindset, training knowledge. I'm better. You know what I mean? And that's why it's like I don't even look at those years. Like at one point, I did look at those years. When I first got hurt, I was like, "What the fuck was it work? What was the point of it?" But I was just like, no. Looking back on it now, it's just like, if I didn't go through all that, or I didn't make progress, or I didn't, get to where I want to go, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And now I can even sit there and look back on that stuff and be like, yo, I know what I did wrong. Now I don't have to do it no more. I'm not going to do that no more. So it's just like I said,
I think going through things like that really just like makes you appreciate your ability to move. Absolutely. Like it's truly a gift. It's truly a gift to be able to like deadlift 600 pounds and squat this weight and throw this type of weight over your shoulders. Like some people dream to be able to have some of these physical capabilities. Absolutely. You know what I mean? There's people who are literally physically impaired from birth. You know what I mean? And they would die for a chance to be able to run and sprint and jump and to do these things. So it's like for us, like we can't take these things for granted. It's an amazing feat seeing some of this stuff that people do. And that, for me, that's just like, man, it's just, I think I just get motivated from exercise so much because it's just like, to see what the body is capable of is just the ability to see what I'm capable of is a gift.
And honestly, you said motivation, it's like, for me, like, big motivating factors just like, even your mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, seeing your mom, like, she has really bad knees. I mean, she's actually going to get a knee replacement like this year now.
And she needs
like,
2 knee replacements.
She needs 2 knee replacements. Yep. But literally seeing her go through that or having bad knees and still have a smile on her face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a big thing to where it's just like, okay, my knees blew out, but it's like she's like we're both in pain, but it's like I know what that feels like, and she hasn't gotten it fixed.
Yeah.
But still happy, joyful, laugh, joke with you. I was like, okay, I can get through this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like I started looking at different things and looking at people that are going through stuff is using that as motivation to where, and that's like one of the big things that got me to where I'm at right now. I mean, I still have, not to trying to go everywhere, but it's like I still have text messages that Barbell Joe sent me from 2018 when I was in the hospital, and that's like a big thing. It's like I kept those things, and just like the people that were there for me that never gave up on me, you, mom, you know what I mean, Doug, like just people that have been there for me, Mel, Melanie, Kevin,
yeah, my boy Kev.
Iron Kelly that I recently met, yes, Jeff, like Cat, like you know what I mean, like Diesel, Derek, you know what I mean, like those are people where it's just like they never gave up on me, and it's like I feel like if I don't keep pushing and don't, keep getting better, it's like I feel like I'm giving up on them. Like I'm not. I just can't give up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's like you're not utilizing this gift that you have that's to you right now, this ability to move again. Like that's your new blessing.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. It was like this the second time around when you got hurt, almost felt like a rebirth for you.
Oh no, absolutely. I had one of my coworkers ask me, she was just like, why do you keep maybe guys talking to you? And I was just like, I said, well, why would I feel like if he keeps letting me stand back up after this happens, there has to be a reason. Yeah. Like I have to use this for something. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's why I'm able to keep pushing and stuff like that. It's not just like the will that I have, but it's the people that have believed in me, that have hit me up on DMs and stuff like that and saying stuff. It's like I take that with me when I train. You know what I mean? I don't take that for granted, because it's just like for a person to reach out to you and say something to you, that they're thinking about you and they believe in you. That means a lot. And I feel like sometimes it's like sometimes people don't come back from stuff or they don't succeed because they don't have people in their corner that actually believe in them. And that's a big thing. It's like whether exercise, business, whatever it is, it's like you have to have having somebody in your corner and have people that believe in you. It's a big thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, even though I do train by myself or I trained overnight, I took the people that believed in me, that hit me up, that, you know, said things to me. I take that with me when I go into the gym. And it's always with me. You know what I mean? So
you got any closing statements?
Well, I just wanted to say, like, I am, because I don't think I finished it, but I am competing. Want to do a full powerlifting meet in November. I'm really excited for that. I do have numbers in mind, but to be completely honest with you, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Wherever I hit on that day, it's a blessing. Because it's like, I mean, I came from just not being able to do a bodyweight squat. So to do what I can do right now, whatever I'm going to hit, I'm happy to do that, and I'm blessed. You know what I mean? But I just want to, like I said, shout out to everybody that held me down, never let me, never left my side, going through everything. And yeah, I just want to say thanks for bringing me on on the podcast. It's freaking awesome.
This is kind of cool, man. This is a different experience. So we make sure more of my lives look like this, because it's a growth thing, right? You're just making sure the experience is better every time, and you're just taking these little things and you're just trying to get better at it every day. And that's with everything that you do. So, and what I like about the gym is like the principles that you learn from the gym, you can apply everywhere in life.
Absolutely.
Being consistent, having a plan, having a structure, having a goal, like all of that shit. Like allow yourself to have the space to grow. I think too often we think like we're supposed to just be here. The beauty's not the result. The beauty's really the process.
Absolutely.
I know this is like cliche shit that you hear all the time, but like it really is. You learn more from the process than you learn from the result.
Absolutely.
Like your result of, let's say, you deadlifting 585, right? If you're just naturally strong and it just kind of happened because you were consistent.
Take it for granted.
Yeah. You know, and now you look at this process so much different because you had to rebuild it. And you had to be present. And you had to do these things. So now it's like, oh, this process is different.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Is that a question?
That's what I think that. I don't know if that's really
okay, let's see. Last question. What was your favorite part about your fitness journey? That's huge, right?
Honestly, just say the people I met. You know what I mean? Like the times, like those times that we trained. Like I said, me, you, Drew, Rev, Neil, Steve, Bruce.
Guys we still see today.
Kev, you know what I mean? Like Derek, it's like, like I said, like those are things, those are memories that like I'll cherish forever. And like I said, I carry those lessons with me when I go into the gym, because it's like, in my eyes, like I said, to me, it's like, he don't really post about it now. He doesn't post stuff, but I have one of the best powerlifters in my family. In my opinion, you know what I mean? It's like I've seen greatness up front and personal, and it's just like, that shit was awesome, you know what I mean? And I've seen things where it's just like, it just meant a lot, you know what I mean? And it's just like I said, the people I've met, and it's just like, I don't know, it just changed my life, you know what I mean? Like,
it is life changing.
It's life changing.
It really is life changing. I think it's one of the healthiest habits that people can adapt.
Oh yeah.
It does. It's so funny. Like, people come in with a physical goal, and they always leave with mental.
Oh yeah.
Not even leave. I don't want to say leave. They adapt a newfound mental strength, self-esteem, self-confidence, all of these things. Like, that's the real self-love shit. You know what I mean? Like, improvement.
Yeah.
You feel like you have self-improvement.
Yeah.
And it's no coincidence that happens once you start adapting something that is for the betterment of your body, not the destruction of it.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we are out.
All right, guys.
Hey, thank y'all for tuning in. I know this was a long one, but we knew that was going to happen. I knew before we even started this one was going to go. But, you know, we hope that we had a really good experience for y'all. We hope that y'all learned some things today. If you didn't catch the full thing, it's perfectly fine. Right after I end this live, we're going to save that video. It's going to be right up on the YouTube for us all to watch. So, everybody have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you will see me very soon with this mic. Do some things here. Take it easy, everybody.
Take care, guys.